I live in Texas in a suburb around Dallas, and there's a quarry/lake outside of our town where many people I know have cliff jumped there. It had a reputation of being a cool place, and my friends and I were trying to have a fun summer experience, so we decided to go. Our dumbasses went on a Monday at around 6:30, hoping to be discreet upon entering the location, since we knew we would be illegally trespassing on someone's property. When we first arrived, the area was very quiet and seemed to not be dangerous at all. We hopped a fence and immediately ran over to a nearby cliff that was around 40 feet high. We also noticed that there was a tractor of some sort moving on the other side of the quarry, maybe 300 meters from us. This is important. After about 10 minutes of anxiety overload, I eventually jumped in and my friends did so afterwards. We were swimming around trying to find our way out of the water. Then all of a sudden I hear a firecracker-like pop. I look at my friend and we both make a "what the fuck is going on" kind of face. And then I spot a black Hummer near where the tractor was. More pops kept coming, to then realize that these were definitely not firecrackers, as I'd seen bullets landing in the water nearby. I took cover behind a rock, screaming, "We're leaving your property and never coming back." My fight-or-flight instincts were kicking in, and I was able to spot a white middle-aged blonde hick-ass woman with some sort of rifle, sitting and aiming at us. My friend and I decided we had to get the fuck out of there as soon as possible. Except to do so we had to climb a hill around 40 feet that was extremely steep and only made of rocks. I had a feeling inside that the woman was just trying to scare us off, but she kept shooting as I tried to scale the hill. I was so nervous that I slipped, gashed my toe open pretty badly, but luckily I was able to make it up the cliff beside the fence we came from. As soon as we scaled the fence, my nerves were somewhat decreasing, and I was catching my breath. We decided to hurry to my car that was parked across the street. Then I see a black Hummer. I didn't realize that it was the same one as before, but she pulls over and hops out with a gun in her hand. So we ran off. We were able to hide and flee the scene luckily, but it was terrifying nevertheless. And yes, I know I put myself in harm's way by trespassing on private property, and to some extent it was my fault. But it was traumatic nevertheless. This happened back in April. I went out drinking with a few friends and the bar closed at 3 a.m. My other friends got in their respective Ubers and went home, but me and my friend Rachel were having too much fun to go home. We had met a couple of guys toward the end of the night and were still chatting with them out front, when one of them invited us to a warehouse party a few minutes away. Yes, sober people would have known better, but at the time a warehouse party sounded awesome. We convinced the other guy and his group of friends to meet us there, and we got in an Uber with warehouse party guy and two of his friends. When we arrived, there was nothing there but a chain-link padlocked fence. There might have been a warehouse beyond it, but we could only see as far as the Uber's headlights. There was no music. Warehouse parties are loud, right? No other cars. No more people except more of these guys' friends just standing around. The guys we rode with started getting out of the Uber, and Rachel turned to me and said, "I think we should go home." It hadn't occurred to me in my drunk state that we could just go home, especially after these guys just paid for an Uber. But once she said it, it sounded like a great idea. I agreed that we should leave, and we asked the Uber driver if we could start a new trip. By now, two of the guys we were riding with were already out of the car, and the last one, who was sitting next to me, was leaning into the car, preventing me from closing the door. He started trying to convince us to stay. "Come on, just come check it out. I promise it'll be fun." And so on. We kept saying, "No, we're going home. Please get out of the car." This went on for a while, and it was just really unsettling. He was so insistent. He would not take no for an answer, and he was literally keeping us from leaving. Finally, the Uber driver piped up and said something like, "Dude, they clearly don't want to go. Now get out of my car." And for some reason, that's what made him give up. He grumbled something about us missing out and backed up, and I slammed the door shut and locked it. The Uber driver, to his credit, offered to take us home free of charge. He was a bro. We get home and I crack some post-party beers, and I get a call from an unknown number. It's a girl. I don't recall meeting any girls, but that doesn't mean anything. She sounds super shaken up, and she's asking if we're okay. I say yes, we're fine. Why? Who is this? And she told me that she was friends with the other guy. She was part of the group that was supposed to meet us there, and that there was no warehouse party, and that those guys were luring people somewhere, warehouse maybe, and mugging them. I'm not sure if any of that group actually got mugged, or if they called the police, or what all happened. She hung up without giving a whole lot of details. I also got a text from another unknown number. I assume I gave my number to another guy at some point, saying, "Hey, we went to that address and walked straight into a robbery." I just went through my texts to see if I still have it, but I'm guessing I was so freaked out the next day that I deleted it. So basically we accidentally helped lure a bunch of people to a fake party and some of them got mugged. We came really close to getting mugged ourselves, and potentially a lot worse since we were two girls by ourselves. Thanks to a rare moment of good judgment and a cool Uber driver, we made it home safely. It freaks me out to think what could have happened if I had been alone. Ladies, be safe out there, and remember you have a right to say no to anything, at any point. If you feel unsafe, get out of there. I guess I should also add, it's very important to drink responsibly. I never would have been in this situation if I hadn't allowed myself to get that drunk. Party smarter, not harder. My boyfriend John and I went to hang out with his best friend Mike and his current girlfriend. She knew about a party that was going on with some of her childhood friends who had just finished high school. We arrived to the middle of nowhere. A bunch of people hanging out in the front yards of a few homes, drinking beer and just hanging around. It was very strange to me, and we felt out of place. People were whispering about us and pointing us out. I assume because it was a small town where everyone knew each other. Some other boys started mocking my boyfriend's shirt, a Lacoste polo. "You a rich boy, huh? You think you're better than us or something?" My boyfriend was not rich. Got a lot of hand-me-downs from his boss after he gained a few pounds, but we just laughed it off. After a little bit of just standing around, someone decided we were going to go to a friend's house who had a pool. We all followed, thinking someone's actual home might be less strange than just hanging out in random front yards. When we arrived, there were some girls in the pool, fully clothed. They seemed nice enough, just drunk. Some people are hanging outside in the driveway. I have a prosthetic leg, so I get tired if I stand too long. I sit on the back of the truck. After a while, a dude approaches us and sits down next to me. I was pretty naive at the time, and never received much attention from the opposite sex. I grew up in a small town in a different state. We were in Georgia. I grew up in Texas. The dude started telling us how he was from New York and asking me questions about my life. It was then that he put his hand on my knee and made a comment about my looks, saying I was cute or whatever. My boyfriend was there, and I felt safe enough to not react, but my blood was boiling. I shrugged off his comment and laughed it off. I tried to act uninterested, but I was frozen in an uncomfortable state of weirdness. I had no idea where John's friend Mike was, much less his girlfriend who actually might know these people. John is watching, waiting for me to say something, which I didn't. I don't know why. I didn't like the attention. The dude was not attractive. Didn't seem like a fun or cool guy. Just an obvious drunk creep. His hand started moving up my thigh. I said something like, "Yeah, I'm not interested. That's my boyfriend right there." He said, "Oh, well that's okay. He doesn't seem to mind." His hand was about to get to my crotch when my boyfriend grabbed him by the throat and said, "Get your hands off of her!" He started to get scared and was apologizing when someone ran out of the woods and tackled my boyfriend. It was the owner of the home. He had been passed out in his truck for the past 4 hours, but had come to in time to see a complete stranger choking out his friend. 3 guys ran up on him. He managed to fight 2 of them off, but the host of the party had him in a headlock. He held him until he almost lost consciousness. They fell to the ground, with the host on top of him, pressing down on his throat and cutting off his ability to breathe. I tried to hit him and break it up, but he had a glazed look over his eyes and seemed determined to kill him. I laid in on him, digging my prosthetic knee into his back. John's friend was nowhere to be seen. The party host finally let off of him, and we ran to our car. Mike and his girlfriend were close behind, obviously aware of what was happening the whole time. The next morning, the whites of John's eyes were all red and full of blood. He almost died. I really believe that. We decided to go to the cops. This was in a place called Rockdale County, a backwards, nasty country town. I didn't realize how terrible it was until we were inside the sheriff's office. They claimed that they had gotten a report that I had taken off my leg and beaten people with it. Not physically possible. They said the only way we could press charges is if we all went to jail, because it was all hearsay. And the cop knew the attacker. They were family friends, and they would never assault someone unless they deserved it. We had to walk away. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the notification button and let YouTube know you want to be notified when I post videos, so that way you can watch the videos when I post them, and make sure you say that you want all my notifications. That way you don't just get some of them, because YouTube's a little weird like that. And if you would like to help support the channel, I would really appreciate if you looked into the sponsor button down by the subscribe button. It's a cool thing that I'm beta testing, and it will give you a few cool perks to the channel. I hope everyone's having a great day, and I appreciate you dropping in to watch this video. Well, listen for the most part, and I hope you enjoyed the stories. I will catch you in the next video. And just remember, it's always scarier if it's true. I live in Texas in a suburb around Dallas, and there's a quarry/lake outside of our town where many people I know have cliff jumped there. It had a reputation of being a cool place, and my friends and I were trying to have a fun summer experience, so we decided to go. Our dumbasses went on a Monday at around 6:30, hoping to be discreet upon entering the location since we knew we would be illegally trespassing on someone's property.